This story was crafted by our talented Revenge Tempest viewer Ethan P. If you trust in your writing skills and imagination, leave a comment below. We'd love to connect with you and explore your creative potential. When I told my sister about the opening, she said I should stay out of the photos. She didn't want the family name associated with another one of my ideas. So I stood quietly on the edge of the crowd. No press. No welcome. No seat. But when the ribbon was pulled tight and the mayor lifted the scissors, he looked straight at me and said the name printed in gold behind him. My name is Leona Brooks, a 29-year-old community organizer from Boise, Idaho, now facing the sting of my family's rejection over a project that would redefine my worth. Growing up, I was the dreamer, always sketching park designs or rallying neighborhood kids, my ideas dismissed by my parents, Claire and David Brooks, as impractical. My younger sister, Lydia, the poised lawyer, became their pride, her courtroom victories celebrated while my efforts were mocked as embarrassing. When I left for college to study urban planning, they called it a waste. 8 years later, after working with nonprofits to revitalize underserved areas, I returned with a vision, unaware of the family rift it would widen. My career was a quiet ascent, 8 years coordinating community projects, turning vacant lots into gardens, my knee scarred from a fall during a cleanup a silent badge of dedication. I secured grants, led volunteers, and built a reputation with local leaders, all without fanfare. My parents saw me as a drifter, sending rare replies to my updates, their distance growing with each success. Lydia thrived, her law firm partnership a shield for the family's image, her disapproval of my grassroots nonsense a constant refrain. I stayed connected, my life a parallel path, until I proposed a community center in Boise's East Side, a project to honor our late grandmother's legacy. My parents supported it tepidly, but Lydia's resistance hinted at trouble. The rejection came swiftly. I announced the center's opening 6 months ago, funded by a city grant and private donations I'd secured. Lydia called, her voice sharp. "You're embarrassing us again. Stay out of the photos. Don't drag the Brooks name into another failure." My parents echoed her, my mother murmuring, "We'll attend but keep it low-key," while my father nodded, his silence complicit. The center, its brick facade, the garden where kids now played, felt like mine, but they saw it as a liability. I received an invitation from Mayor Elena Ruiz, naming me the keynote speaker, a recognition of my leadership. I kept it secret, sensing the opening would be a stage to confront their dismissal. That night, I stood in my small apartment, the invitation in hand, the rain outside a soft prelude to my thoughts. Lydia's words lingered, but the mayor's letter fueled a quiet resolve. I prepared a speech, my notebook filled with data, the event a battlefield to turn their shame into my victory. The day of the opening arrived, and the tension began at the family dinner the night before. I arrived in a simple navy dress, my confidence masked by their indifference. Lydia greeted me with a tight smile, her eyes scanning me critically, while my parents avoided my gaze, focused on Lydia's latest case. "Don't make a scene tomorrow," she said, her tone clipped. "The family can't afford your antics." I nodded, my silence a shield, but inside I planned to defy her. The next morning I reached the center, a crowd gathering, but I was directed to the back, away from the family's front row seats. No press mentioned me, no welcome greeted me, my exclusion deliberate. The slight stung, a reminder of their social hierarchy, but I held my composure, my mind on the speech in my pocket, proof of my role, a gold nameplate ordered for the stage. 3 hours before the ceremony, I slipped into the community center's office, contacting Carlos Mendoza, a city councilor and ally who'd backed my grant. He confirmed the mayor would honor our agreement to spotlight me. "They'll be stunned," he said, his voice encouraging. I reviewed my speech, project stats, volunteer stories, a photo of grandmother's garden, each a brick in the wall of my public recognition. The rain softened outside, a hint of the calm before the storm. I rejoined the crowd, Lydia's laughter with local elites a distant hum, unaware that the ribbon they'd relegate me from would bear my name. The next day, I returned to the family home under pretense, accessing Lydia's study while she met with clients. The room smelled of her success, files stacked on her oak desk. I found a locked drawer, its key hidden under a legal tome, a habit I'd noticed during visits. Inside were emails plotting to undermine my project, a memo to the city council suggesting my removal, and a letter from my father. Keep Leona's name out, her center risks our reputation. Footsteps approached and I hid as Lydia entered, venting to a colleague. She's a liability, she said. Ensure the mayor ignores her. I escaped unnoticed, the documents a confirmation of their intent, my resolve stealing. This wasn't about noise, it was about recognition, and I held the proof to shift the narrative. That evening I met Carlos at a diner sharing the findings. His eyes widened. They're sabotaging you, he said. Use the opening to expose it. He suggested integrating the emails into my speech, a move to turn their dismissal into my triumph. The rain outside mirrored my determination, the ceremony now a stage to remind them that the city, not they, would define my worth. The soft patter of rain against the apartment window framed my reflection as I sat at the kitchen table. The speech notes, the flash drive with project data, and the pilfered documents from Lydia's study spread across the scratched wooden surface. Leona Brooks, once dismissed by her family as an embarrassment to their polished reputation, now held the key to a legacy of community impact they'd never recognized or valued. The project statistics, detailing a 15% crime reduction and a 10% property value boost, volunteer testimonials capturing the joy of transformed lives, and the cherished photo of grandmother's garden, contrasting Lydia's relentless efforts to undermine me, promised a reckoning, a fight to claim the public respect my 8 years of dedicated service had quietly earned. The emails hinting at a calculated family plot, the petition to the city council, and the mayor's official invitation pointed to a deeper struggle, a silent battle to assert my worth beyond their narrow judgments. Carlos Mendoza, the city councilor and ally who'd championed my grant application through months of bureaucratic hurdles, was my strategist, his political savvy and local influence guiding me through this familial and public challenge, his support a beacon in the rising storm of tension. Carlos arrived that evening, his tablet casting a soft glow as he unpacked a portable projector, a detailed map of the center's layout marked with green spaces and community zones, a stack of press releases, and a thermos of strong coffee to fuel our late-night planning. He reviewed the flash drive's contents with a counselor's discerning eye, his brow lifting with each slide as he absorbed the data. These numbers are impressive. The center's reduced local crime by 15% in 6 months, boosted property values by 10%, and served over 500 families, he said, his voice steady and authoritative. The testimonials from volunteers like Mark, who revived the garden, and the photo of your grandmother's legacy tie it directly to your vision, effectively countering Lydia's narrative of failure. Her emails reveal a deliberate campaign to discredit you, likely driven by fear that your success would outshine their carefully curated image and expose their vulnerabilities. The opening ceremony is your moment to turn the tables and reclaim your narrative. My chest tightened as the scope crystallized. Lydia's recent law firm renovations with sleek glass walls, my parents' new luxury sedan parked in the driveway, the family vacations to upscale resorts, all funded by a reputation they'd protect by erasing my contributions. Carlos pointed to an email from Lydia to the city council, dated 3 months ago. Keep Leona's name off official records. Her project risks tarnishing our standing with influential clients. The calculated sabotage, preserved in digital ink, fueled my resolve, sparking a quiet determination to transform their rejection into a public triumph. This was about reclaiming my identity, not just a community center with its brick facade and blooming gardens, but the honor and recognition they'd consistently denied me. We crafted a plan to maximize the revelation, targeting the opening ceremony as the ultimate stage and gathering more evidence to solidify my position against their opposition. That night, I returned to the family home during a dinner party Lydia hosted for her legal circle, a gathering of suited professionals sipping wine and discussing high-stakes cases, Carlos staging a distraction by reporting a minor plumbing issue to the caterers with a fabricated leak complaint. The guests' annoyed murmurs, the clatter of dishes as staff scrambled, and Lydia's sharp orders to restore order gave me the cover I needed as I slipped into her office. Its mahogany shelves lined with law books and framed accolades a testament to her control over the family narrative. I found a locked filing cabinet tucked behind a velvet curtain, its key hidden under a client award plaque, a detail I'd noticed during a past visit when I'd lingered too long admiring her trophies. Inside were more emails plotting my exclusion from public credit, a formal petition to the council to reassign the grant to a more reputable figure, a recorded conference call with my father outlining their strategy. Ensure Leona stays invisible. Her center could embarrass us if linked to our name. And a draft press release framing the project as a council initiative. My heart raced as I copied the data onto a second flash drive. The risk of discovery amplifying the stakes, the clink of wine, glasses and laughter from the dining room, a surreal contrast to the intensity of my covert operation. Footsteps approached, heavy and purposeful, and I ducked behind a curtain as Lydia entered, her voice crisp and commanding. "She's pushing this ridiculous opening," she said to a colleague, her tone laced with disdain. "Leak her injury from that cleanup fall. Paint her as unfit to lead. The mayor must sideline her and redirect the spotlight." Her companion, likely a junior partner, agreed, mentioning a backup plan involving pressure on council members to alter the ceremony script. I held my breath, the conversation confirming their deep collusion and coordinated efforts to suppress me, and slipped out through a side door, the flash drive secure in my bag, my resolve hardening into an unyielding steel. The next day, I met a community advocate, Sarah Alice, recommended by Carlos, in a cozy office near the center adorned with community art. She analyzed the documents with a keen eye, her fingers tracing the petition's signatures. "This is sabotage, unethical pressure on the council to undermine your leadership," she said, her voice firm. "We can expose it with this and demand a public correction." I presented the findings to Carlos, who coordinated with Mayor Elena Ruiz at a discreet City Hall meeting. Ruiz reviewed the call recording, her expression hardening. "I'll honor you as the driving force behind this. Let the city see your worth," she said. "They'll attack your past struggles. Be prepared to stand tall." Lydia's retaliation was swift and vicious. Local blogs and social media ran stories. Brooks' family shamed by sister's failed project, with fabricated tales of my limp from the cleanup fall, my early nonprofit stumbles, my perceived lack of formal credentials, all sourced from an insider, likely tied to Lydia's firm. My phone buzzed incessantly with jeering comments and mocking messages, my history laid bare for public scrutiny, the sting amplified by the echoes of my family's initial rejection. Carlos issued a cease and desist letter to the outlets, demanding retractions and hinting at legal action, but the psychological pressure grew, a relentless assault that tested my resilience. I found solace with Dr. Mia Carter, a therapist and friend from my early organizing days who had helped me navigate burnout, who met me at a quiet park bench beneath a canopy of maples. "This is their insecurity laid bare," she said, her voice calm amid the rustling leaves. "Your silence is your power. Let their noise crumble under its own weight." Her support steadied me, a reminder of the community bonds I'd forged, and we contacted key volunteers, Mark from the garden crew, Lisa from the youth mentorship program, via secure calls. Their praise of my leadership in rallying resources, my vision in designing the center, bolstered my credibility, each voice a cornerstone of my defense against the smear campaign. The tension peaked when Lydia confronted me at the family home, her lawyer looming beside her with a stack of papers, his briefcase a symbol of their authority. "Drop the opening or we'll ruin you, your injury, your past failures all exposed," she demanded, slamming a withdrawal letter on the dining table. I refused, my fingers tightening around the flash drive, its edges worn from constant handling. "You can't hide my impact on this city," I said, my voice steady despite the ache in my knee, a single sentence that carried the weight of my determination. She snatched the paper back and stormed out, her heels clicking a sharp retreat, but not before a burner phone slipped from her lawyer's coat, clattering to the hardwood floor. I retrieved it, a concrete link to their scheme, its screen flashing with recent calls to the council aide. Carlos traced its number to the aide, confirming their conspiracy extended beyond family to a political operation. With Dr. Carter's encouragement, I organized a clandestine rally for volunteer support via a video conference. Their recorded stories, accounts of my late-night planning sessions, my negotiation of the grant, strengthening my case. The fight was strategic, a reclaiming of my erased value through public recognition, not emotional outburst. That night, I prepared the speech in the apartment, the rain outside a steady drum to my planning, its rhythm mirroring my pulse. The apartment, a temporary base with its faded curtains and mismatched furniture, felt like a command post, its simplicity a stark contrast to the Brooks family's opulent home. Carlos's strategy included the opening ceremony reveal, a formal claim to my public honor and preparation for the climactic moment, but the threat of Lydia's allies, the council aide, her law firm influence, possibly my parents' tacit approval, loomed large, a shadow over my impending triumph. I finalized the flash drive, its contents now enriched with the cabinet's revelations, my weapon in this silent war. I wore grandmother's brooch, a delicate silver piece engraved with her initials, a talisman of my past inspiration as I readied myself to face the crowd. The betrayal had tested me, exposing vulnerabilities I'd buried beneath my quiet resolve, but it also forged a new identity: leader, honoree, victor. The next step was clear: shine at the opening and let the city define my worth, step by step, building a future where their embarrassment transformed into my recognition. The rain softened outside, a whisper of the calm before the public storm. The rain tapped a gentle rhythm against the apartment window as I stood before the small mirror, the flash drive in my hand, its weight a symbol of the recognition I was about to claim. Leona Brooks, once branded an embarrassment by her family, had transformed 8 years of quiet community work into a legacy poised to shine. The evidence: Lydia's council petition, the recorded call with my father, volunteer testimonials, had set the stage for a public reckoning, while the burner phone's link to a political network hinted at a broader conspiracy. My sister's dismissal had wounded me, but it had also ignited an unyielding resolve. This was no longer just about the community center. It was about dismantling their narrative, restoring my honor with the power of a city's embrace. The next morning, I met Mayor Elena Ruiz and Carlos at the center, the air buzzing with pre-ceremony excitement. Ruiz reviewed the evidence, her fingers pausing on the recorded call timestamp. "This is compelling," she said, her voice resolute. "The petition, the sabotage, the volunteer support. It's a clear case of interference. The political network suggests deeper stakes, but your flash drive will turn the tide." She outlined a strategy. Introduce me as the center's visionary during the ribbon cutting, address the sabotage publicly, and use the event to cement my reputation. "They'll challenge your credibility, your injury, your background," she warned. "Stay steady." The thought of my limp and nonprofit struggles dissected before the crowd sent a shiver through me, but Carlos squeezed my arm. "Your work will speak," he said. With Dr. Carter's guidance, we refined my stance, framing my journey as a testament to perseverance, a narrative uplifting overlooked leaders like me. The opening day arrived, a crucible of silent strategy and public triumph. Dr. Carter coached me tirelessly, her sessions blending emotional grounding with ceremonial poise. "They'll seek to shame you," she said. "Rise with pride." I rehearsed my brief remarks, the flash drive's contents, project data, volunteer stories, sabotage proof, each a shield against their attacks. The crowd gathered, Lydia in a tailored suit, her smile a mask of control, my parents beside her, their faces tense. I stood at the edge, my simple dress understated yet confident, my voice steady as the mayor stepped forward. The ribbon stretched taut and Ruiz lifted the scissors, her gaze locking with mine. "Today we honor Leona Brooks, the heart of this center," she said, the gold nameplate behind her gleaming with my name. The crowd erupted, Lydia's smile fading as my image, project sketches, volunteer photos, flashed on a screen. The evidence played, my impact a silent explosion. The turning point came during the Q&A. Lydia rose, her voice shaky. "This is a family embarrassment. Leona's unfit to lead," she said. I stepped forward, handing Carlos the flash drive. "The truth is in the community's voice," I said, my tone calm. The screen shifted to the recorded call, my father's words about hiding me, followed by the petition and volunteer testimonials praising my vision. The audience murmured, my parents' faces paling, Lydia's lawyer retreating. Ruiz denounced the interference, announcing an investigation into the council aide. My single sentence, "You tried to hide me, the city introduced me," hung in the air, shattering their control. The ceremony shifted, my recognition undeniable, Lydia and her allies silenced as applause thundered. The aftermath was a rapid transformation. The Brooks family's influence waned as the investigation unfolded, their reputation tarnished. I expanded the center into Brooks Haven, a hub for community programs in Boise, its rooms hosting job training and youth workshops. Dr. Carter led counseling, Carlos managed logistics, and I oversaw it, my identity as leader and visionary solidifying. The first event drew a crowd, residents, officials, a news crew, celebrating resilience. I spoke. This is for those dismissed, for grandmother, for a future built on community. Applause washed over me, a tide of validation healing old wounds. Alone that night, I explored the center's storage, finding grandmother's gardening gloves and a letter. Inside was a photo of us planting, a note. Leona, your heart is my legacy. They'll see it. The loss of her guidance was replaced by pride, tears falling as I traced her words. I displayed it as a tribute. Lydia wrote from her firm, a shaky apology. I was wrong. Can we talk? The gesture surprised me, and though the past couldn't be undone, I sent a reply offering a cautious meeting. Reconciliation, a fragile hope. The center thrived, uniting communities. Residents with volunteers, families with programs. The political network faded, the council aides' testimony unraveling their scheme. I hired security wary of backlash, but peace took root. One afternoon, sorting supplies, I found my first grant proposal, proof of the dream they mocked. It hung in the center, a symbol of transformation. The rain softened outside, a sign of calm as I planned Brooks Rise, a fund for community leaders. My journey from outcast to honoree forged a new identity, and with my allies I turned their embarrassment into triumph, step by step, building a life of purpose and justice. This story was brought to life by our amazing community. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to Revenge Tempest, and drop a comment letting us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you.